Hey guys, this is Justin. Hello and welcome to another video. So today we'll be talking about something that was changed in Star Wars canon that I think there may actually be diverging opinions about in the comments. So after the end of this video, let me know your thoughts down below. Today we'll be talking specifically about how one ship was seriously changed, a ship which Expanded Universe fans will probably be very familiar with, but which has never appeared on screen, the Victory Star Destroyer. In short, the Victory had a unique ability which now doesn't exist in Star Wars canon, so I'm going to give some backstory, then I'll talk about what's been changed. I'll include timestamps if you want to skip some of the ship recap or if you already know the lore. So I'll give a bit of a basic overview of the Victory for those of you who aren't familiar with it. The Victory class Star Destroyer was a late Clone Wars Republic era vessel. That being said, the ship is much more well known for its service within the Empire, and the Victory, in a way, is representative of the doctrinal shift from the Republic's Navy to the Imperial Navy. Instead of being focused on carrying like the Acclamator or Venator, the Victory was really an offensive powerhouse. It's actually significantly smaller than the Imperial Star Destroyer, which would certainly continue that trend. It was only 900 meters long, but it was equipped with dozens of turbo lasers and concussion missile launchers. As the Essential Guide to Warfare explains, the Victory was largely supplanted by the Imperial class Star Destroyer, which again was 1600 meters, significantly larger, but the Victory continued to see service across the galaxy, especially as the Rebel threat emerged, often in places where a full Imperial Star Destroyer wouldn't be needed, but also as component pieces to major fleets. Victories would continue to be important vessels after the Battle of Endor, especially as there was the Victory 2 line, which was most likely not only newly constructed ships, but also refits of existing Victory 1s. Thrawn, for example, used Victory Star Destroyers to great effect. We saw the Crimson Command employed by Dala, but I want to now talk about Out of Universe, and we're getting closer to the point. The Victory Star Destroyer first appeared by name in the original Han Solo novels by Brian Daley. However, they were really first fleshed out in the Imperial Sourcebook. Despite the fact that that lore is, well, pretty old, most of it still actually fits today, even in Star Wars canon. In fact, the book even nailed that Victory Star Destroyers were produced from technological advancements due to the Clone Wars, which is pretty impressive. Anyway, according to the book, Victory-class Star Destroyers were used for 3 mission types: planetary defense, planetary assault and troop support, and ship-to-ship combat, with a real focus on those first 2 points. That's because, and this has been iterated time and time again, the Victory-class Star Destroyer is a fairly slow vessel, and because, and this is the important thing that I've been building all video up to, the Victory-class Star Destroyer has a unique ability to enter the upper levels of a planet's atmosphere, something newer Star Destroyers cannot do. Because it can enter atmosphere, the Victory Star Destroyer can thus facilitate or carry out precision ground attacks. Additionally, it's more capable of chasing foes to a planet's surface. Now, this was mostly changed by the Victory 2, which focused more on ship-to-ship combat, but that puts the Victory 1 in a very unique position: a planetary assault capital ship, something almost like the Acclamator, but potentially even better at that job. Other sources reiterate this fact. For example, the Essential Guide to Vehicles and Vessels points out that the Victory is an excellent ship for planetary actions because it is one of the largest capital ships that can operate effectively in a planetary atmosphere. While most modern combat starships are restricted to orbital bombardment, the Victory can bring the battle directly to an enemy on the surface, giving the ship both a tactical and a psychological advantage. And if you actually take a look at the Victory and its diagram in the Essential Guide to Vehicles and Vessels, you can see that the flaps on the side of the ship are described as atmospheric maneuvering surfaces. I really like this feature because you get the idea that the Victory is really giving up a lot combat-wise, both in terms of armor and firepower, so that it does have this unique role. I've seen some people assume that this part of the ship is for missile launching, and that may have actually been the original intention. In the Imperial Sourcebook, the Victory Star Destroyer has a lot of concussion missile launch tubes, and the flaps on the ship aren't designated as those atmospheric maneuvering tools, whereas the Victory 2 relies simply on turbo lasers and especially ion cannons, and seems to be a much better direct combat starship. Fan art will often depict the Victory Star Destroyer opening up these wings to fire off a missile barrage, but as far as I'm aware, that's never actually been shown in lore, and the surfaces do have that purpose as mentioned just now. That being said, I'm sure they can open and close. That would probably be part of the point. Anyway, what's changed now is that Star Wars canon doesn't really worry about ships being able to enter an atmosphere. We've seen ships being built on Corellia's planetary surface. We've seen Star Destroyers, whether of the Venator or Imperial variety, freely operating in atmosphere without any sort of real problem. And arguably that eliminates one of the most interesting bits of the Victory, the fact that it has this unique strategic role that no other ship really does, of its size at least. However, it seems to me that that idea was, even in Star Wars Legends, mostly just played lip service in source books and other secondary material. I'm sure there are plenty of examples of Star Destroyers operating in atmosphere. The one that comes to mind first for me would be Thrawn bombarding the Coral Vonda in Dark Force Rising. Like, he's in atmosphere firing into the ocean at that point. And often you'll just hear of Star Destroyers being visible, you know, above a city or in a planet's atmosphere. So yeah, while the technical distinction may have been changed, it feels like practically the things that happen, for example, in Star Wars Rebels or that are happening in Andor could have happened in Star Wars Legends. So is it a big deal? No, not really. I do wish that there was some consistency. Obviously, nobody who's actually writing a Star Wars show for TV is going to not put a dramatic moment in because the source book says otherwise. But I do think Imperial Star Destroyers being incapable of operating in atmosphere would provide some interesting options or explanations for why the Rebels are safe in certain situations, why they're not in others, and it would make the Victory Star Destroyer very threatening. That's just my thoughts, though. Let me know yours down below. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Until next time, be safe, have a good one, and may the Force be with you.